This week on the Journal Editorial Report, with Democrats giving her a pass on the email scandal, is it clear sailing for Hillary Clinton from here? Plus, after 7 years of Obamonomics and a failed foreign policy, are the Democratic candidates offering something different or more of the same? And the left's campaign to silence opponents continues. A think tank economist is the latest victim. Will climate change dissenters be next? Find out after these headlines.
Let me say something that may not be great politics, but I think the Secretary is right. And that is that the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too. Me too.
Welcome to the Journal Editorial Report. I'm Paul Gigot. That was Bernie Sanders Tuesday night in the first Democratic presidential debate, giving frontrunner Hillary Clinton a pass on the email scandal that has dogged her campaign so far. But Sanders and his fellow Democrats on the debate stage aren't the only ones ready to dismiss the issue, with President Obama telling Steve Kroft on 60 Minutes that Clinton's use of a private server did not pose a national security risk.
I can tell you that this is not a situation in which America's national security was endangered. We don't get an impression that here there was purposely efforts to hide something or to squirrel away information.
So, is it clear sailing for Hillary Clinton from here? Let's ask Wall Street Journal columnist and deputy editor Dan Henninger, assistant editorial page editor James Freeman, and Washington columnist Kim Strassel. So, Kim, you wrote this week that you thought that Bernie Sanders' comments about the emails were bad politics, despite the big applause she got in the room and the handshake from Hillary Clinton. Why do you think that?
It was political malpractice. Look, you had Hillary Clinton was up there and she was basically coronated. You had 4 other men who gave her a pass on her greatest vulnerability, and a legitimate issue, by the way, for the public to understand what has gone on. They were largely unfit to debate with her on stage about issues. She ran circles around them. You know, Bernie Sanders likes to talk about how he's in favor of the 99%, and this is an issue that he should have brought up about for that reason, because she's a person that believes she doesn't have to play by the rules of the 99%.
Here's the argument that I think Sanders would make, is that, look, the Democrats don't want to hear this. Okay, they just simply, there's no audience within the Democratic Party for this kind of criticism. So it would just hurt me if I did it.
Well, if he thinks that this progressive wing that he is courting is going to elect him alone, he's never going to be president. It is independents, it's swing state voters, it is people that do have an abiding interest in what happened with Mrs. Clinton's server. And if he wants to win this race, he's going to have to address it at some point.
Clear sailing from here, Dan?
I think so. I mean, the X factor is the FBI investigation. Right. We don't know where that's going.
But I want to ask about that.
But by and large, I think the party has concluded that she will be the nominee, and that barring an economic or global meltdown, she probably is going to win the presidency. I think that they are making that bet as well. And you have to understand, this is Bill and Hillary Clinton. If you really get too far out in front and thwarting her path to the presidency, you are going to be punished by them and by the Democratic Party. So they're stepping back.
And I think that explains why Martin O'Malley was so tender to her. He wants a future in the party.
HHS secretary.
Yeah. What about Joe Biden? The conventional wisdom now is that Hillary Clinton boxed him out from getting in. You agree?
Well, I think it would probably, he may need another event, a new disclosure to have a pretext to get into the race.
But time's running out.
But I don't think he's necessarily out of it. I think what that did was clarify for him the opportunity. And we've been saying it for a while.
Or the lack of opportunity?
Well, there's enough material out there for someone who has the will to go after her on ethics, on violations of law, the classified emails that she kept at home, the violations of the Federal Records Act. If someone wants to make the case, it's there, and he now understands that's his opening if he wants it.
But is it there for with Democratic primary voters? That's my question.
Well, look,
there may be in the general election, I agree with you, but what about with Democratic voters?
Bernie Sanders obviously knows more about his voters than I do. He's seen polls that we haven't, but I think it is very unlikely that a lot of that idealistic vote that he's carrying right now has nothing to do with Clinton corruption, has nothing to do with people turned off by the dynastic Clinton machine and all of its weird alliances and fundraising operations. So I think there is still an opportunity.
Kim, what did you make of President Obama's comments about the email scandal, basically saying, well, there was no intent, no national security problem, number one, and number two, there was certainly no intent to violate federal law. Was that a signal to the FBI?
It was an enormous signal to the FBI saying, back off, don't go after the woman who is likely to be our nominee. And by the way, Paul, this is a habit of this president's. Think about that he did the same thing back when the FBI was supposedly investigating. It supposedly is still supposedly investigating the IRS scandal. And, you know, it only took a few months after the revelations about the targeting that had happened that he came out and was dismissing it. And within a few months of that, he had declared that there was not a, quote, smidgen of corruption. Now, there was no way for him to know, just as we assume there's no way he knows about what's actually happened with Hillary's server. So this isn't him giving information. This is him giving orders.
Yeah, how does he know what was in her mind?
He can't know what was in her mind at all. Who knows what's in her mind? But, you know, they are playing with fire here, Paul. If they start leaning on the FBI at the level of the investigation is not beyond leaking to the media what exactly they have found on those servers if they think that they are being suppressed by the White House. And Jim Comey, the director of the FBI, has been put in an impossible situation now. If he got to the point where he wanted to conclude there was nothing going on, people are going to think he was leaned on by the White House.
He was leaned on by the White House. Okay, this is going to continue as an issue. We'll follow it when we come back. From the economy to foreign policy to climate change, what Tuesday night's debate revealed about the priorities of the Democratic Party heading into 2016.
We do not address the global crisis of climate change, transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to sustainable energy, the planet that we're going to be leaving our kids and our grandchildren may well not be habitable.